Կանոն հոր եւ որդվո եւ ողջույն սրբո ամեն։ Սիրելի հավատացյալներ, այսօր հոգեկալուստի դոնն է։ Քրիստոսի հարութենեն 50 օրեր յետ եկեղեցին կդոն է հոգեկալուստի դոնը։ Ասիկա այն դոնն է, որում մասին Քրիստոս ինք խոստացավ վերջին ընթրիքին ժամանակ, երբ իր աշակերտներուն եւ զինքուսոններուն ասավ, թե ես ցեզի առանցին պիտի չցկեմ։ Ցեզի հետ պիտի լավ մխիթարիչը, որ պիտի կա եւ ցեզի պիտի սորվեցնե, պիտի հիշեցնե եւ Աստուծո ներկայությունն է, որ մնայուն գերբով ցեզի հետ պիտի լա։ Եվ հոգեկալուստի դոնին ասիկա է, որ գրանանա, երբ Քրիստոսի աշակերտները միասին համախմբված վերնատունի մեջ հանգարց հովի ցայմը գլսվի եւ Սուրբ Հոգին, որ հրեղեն լեզուներու գերբարակով Լուկա եւ աշակերտներու վրա կհավճի եւ այն աշակերտները, որոնք հոգի մեջ էին, որոնք չէին գիտեր թե ինչ պիտի լա, որոնք բախտած էին զորություն կստանան, երկնային զորություն կստանան եւ այդ զորությամբ գերտան եւ աշխարհը կփոխեն իրենց հավատքով։ Գերտան եւ քրիստոնեության պատկամը կդարածեն ամենտեղ։ Եվ Սուրբ Հոգին սիրելի հավատացյալներ, Աստուծո մնայուն ներկայությունն է մեր մեջ։ Աստուծո մնայուն ներկայությունն է եւ եկեղեցու կյանքի մեջ եւ մեր անհատական ամեն մեկուս կյանքի մեջ։ Այսօր Սուրբ Հոգի դոնին արդիվ երբ հավաքված ենք այստեղ, այս պատարակը կմատուցենք, գաղութենք և խորհրդածենք, հիմնական հարցումներն մեկը, որ մենք պետք է հարցնենք մենք մեզի որպես հավատացյալներ, թե Քրիստոսի խոստացած Սուրբ Հոգին, այն Սուրբ Հոգին, որ մենք ստացանք մեր մգրտության ժամանակ ներկա է և գործե մեր կյանքի մեջ կամ ոչ։ Այսօր շատ թյուրին է, մենք շատ բաներով հբար դվանք, օրինակ, որպես հայ ազգի զավակներ, հայ ժողովուրդ, գրնանք հբար դլալ լսելով, որ մենք առաջին քրիստոնյա ազգ ենք։ Գրնանք հբար դլալ անհատներ որպես է լսել, որ ես Սուրբ Գիրքը ձայր 60 անգամ գարտացած եմ։ 50 սաղմոսները անքիր, կոց գիտեմ, ամեն գիրակի եկեղեցի ու կամ։ Ասոք բոլորը լավ բան է, և ասոք շատակում համահրվարության պատճառ կդառնա։ Բայց եթե Սուրբ Հոգին մեր մեջ ներկա չէ, Սուրբ Հոգին մեր մեջ չի գործեր, կնշանակե, որ մենք շատ հեռու ենք Աստծուց։ Այսօր ուրեմն սիրելի հավատացյալներ, Սուրբ Հոգի այս տոնին արդիվ քննենք մենք մեզի եւ տեսնենք թե Քրիստոսի Հոգին մեր մեջ ներկա է, մեր մեջ կգործե, եւ եթե ներկա չէ եւ չի գործեր, աղոթենք Աստծո, որ իր Սուրբ Հոգին դարձյալ մեզի դրվի, այն ինչ որ մենք ստացած ենք մեր բնորության ժամանակ, ավելի խորհրդավոր եւ ավելի զորավոր կերպով ստանանք, որպեսզի կա եւ առաջնորդեն մեր կյանքերը։ Good morning, welcome to St. Sarkis Church, dear brothers and sisters. The church celebrates today the feast of the Pentecost. Pentecost literally means 50 days. So 50 days after Passover in the Jewish tradition, there was another holiday. And it was during that holiday that everyone would come to Jerusalem. And it was during this holiday that the disciples were still hiding. They knew that God or Jesus had promised them to send His presence to be with them and to guide them. But they couldn't figure out what was the nature. Therefore, they were hiding. And it was in the upper room. Traditionally said it's the same place where Jesus had His Last Supper. And suddenly they heard a loud noise, something that resembled strong wind. And they saw shapes of fiery tongues that came and rested upon the disciples. Symbolism here is very important because when we go and read the first book in the Bible, we see that the Spirit of God was roaming the earth, says the book of Genesis. And the word spirit that is in Hebrew is the same as wind. So it is the same wind now that comes in such a powerful way and is rested among the disciples. John the Baptist in his preaching said, "The one who comes after me will baptize you with fire." And now it is the moment of the baptism of fire that is happening. The Holy Spirit is given in shape of fiery tongues, not only to give the disciples the strength to speak in different languages, but also to clean them and make them dwelling places of the Holy Spirit. So today the church celebrates this important feast, which technically marks the beginning of the church. And when I think about this special day, special celebration in the life of our church, my brothers and sisters, I can't help myself but to think also about something that the Bible tells us, something that comes to us from the book of Genesis, the story of Babylon. And for so many people, when we say Babylon, we think about Long Island, but think about the Middle East, think about Mesopotamia, a place where they witnessed the flood. And after the flood, they came with a decision and they said, what if this thing happens again? What do we do? Let's build something. Let's build a total structure so that if or should a flood or similar destructive thing come again, we should be able to escape this. But these people were not thinking only about creating a total structure. But when you look at the name, Babylon, they were creating to find a door to reach to God. So they thought that if we create something tall, something mighty, that might be the gate to heaven. And that could prevent us from being ever punished again. So they were trying to find salvation in ways that relied heavily on their own strength. The story in the Bible tells us that God plays a little joke, and the joke is the following. He mixes the languages. And now there's confusion. Nobody understands each other. And the project stops. Fast forward to the holiday of Pentecost. Today is the day that God reverses what happened during Babylon. He sends the gift of the Holy Spirit in the shape of tongues. And the tongues come, and now the disciples, the regular Galileans, who probably knew Aramaic or Hebrew maybe, now they have the capacity and the power to speak different languages. Now there were people who were there for the feast from so many different parts of the world, celebrating this holiday of theirs, and the disciples started communicating with them in the languages of those countries that people came from. Think about it this way: if you, America guys, go to Echmiadzin or Lebanon, and people start talking to you fluently in New York accent, it will be you'll be surprised. How do you know New York accent, you would say? Well, that was the gift of the Holy Spirit. God now is trying to bring everything back together through the gift of the Holy Spirit. It's a beautiful thing because it shows that diversity and unity in the church is important. But you might think that the Holy Spirit was given at that time. The Holy Spirit made the disciples to be the preachers that they needed to be. And that was a good chapter in the history of the church. But it doesn't stop there. Because the Holy Spirit is God's presence, omnipresence in the life of the church and in our lives as Christians. And we did not read this today. It's not part of our readings. But when we read St. Paul's letter to the Galatians, we see the following. We see St. Paul saying that the fruit of the Holy Spirit is the following: St. Paul thinks of us as we are trees and we are supposed to give fruit and be fruitful. And he says, these are the fruits of the Holy Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I would like you guys to think about the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And maybe we can do a little self-reflection here today. Love. This is not the romantic love that we confess that we have for each other, especially when we are teenagers and young men and women. The love that is so powerful but also lasts 3 weeks and then we forget about it. That's not the love that we are talking about. This is the theological love, the agape, the love that is manifested: love God and love your neighbor. We live in a world where there's so much hatred. If you don't believe me, just watch the news. If you don't believe me, just go and drive in the neighborhoods and watch the road rage that you experience. There's so much hatred around us. But the fruit of the Holy Spirit is love. The fruit of the Holy Spirit is joy. A lot of us, we try to find that happiness somewhere else. This is why there's vaping, there's the drug industry, and then there's alcohol. We try to inhale or use supplements to make us feel happy. But happiness and joy are two different things. The joy is that contentment that we have. And it's a gift that God gives to us. It's not something that we take and it gets us to that place. Peace is the sense of tranquility, where we know that even if we face the most challenging and the most difficult moments in life, God help us to maintain that tranquility. And sometimes that peace that we have, the inner peace that we have, it also could be something that others can benefit from us. When you have a good friend who has that inner peace in them, and in your moments of anxiety you go to them, sometimes you know that peace also affects you in such a positive way. Patience to endure difficult things. I used to have a lot more of this when I was younger, when I was not a father yet. But now I'm praying to the Holy Spirit so that my patience will go back not only to where it used to be, but to be a place that is a lot bigger, to endure difficult situations gracefully. Kindness. Kindness is the warmth and the friendliness that we need in our lives. It's so easy not to be kind. This is why it is the gift of the Holy Spirit that we may exercise kindness. Goodness. Goodness is the moral good that God expects from us. It's not only to say good things or wish good things, but to act the good things in our lives. Faithfulness, the sense of loyalty. This is really important. Whether you're in the school, whether you're a child, whether you're a spouse, to be loyal, to be faithful is such an important value in our lives. A lot of people don't realize how important is this. Gentleness means to act with compassion. Again, it's so easy not to be gentle, to be rude, and to kind of say things the way that you want to say them, and hurt people around you. But it is the gift of the Spirit to be compassionate. And finally, self-control. Self-control is the gift to regulate the desires. We are all born with certain desires, but we also are born with the capacity to think and reason. When we act on our desires, and I'm talking especially to the youth today, it means that we turn the other person into an object. Because acting on desire means you're not committing, you just have a need, and you're trying to fulfill your need. Acting on desire is the opposite of acting on love. Because love has commitment. Love has sanctity. Love has the openness to create a new life with the beloved. Desire is close to all of that, and it serves only the function of satisfying the self. Therefore, self-control is the fruit of the Spirit. Now here comes the most important question. How do we get the gift of the Holy Spirit? Well, 10 push-ups in the morning, intermittent fasting during the day, and light dinner at night. No, I don't have a formula for you. I don't have a formula for you how we get the Holy Spirit. It's a gift. It's a gift. God gives us this gift. But when you have to keep yourself open to that gift. I guess praying to God is essential. A gift that, or a habit that we have forgotten. We used to pray when we were getting ready to take the exams, but I'm seeing that also has changed because people are doing a lot more work on ChatGPT instead of praying. So praying is not that moment of asking things from God, but it's about opening that channel of communications, asking for God's grace. And this, by the way, participating in Badarak, coming here and being part of the sacrament, partaking the Holy Spirit, or the gift of the Holy Spirit that comes to us during the communion, is another important gift. My brothers and sisters, the Holy Spirit is present. Grace is untapped resource for so many of us. Just there. It was given to us on the day of the baptism. Pray to God to reawaken and work on reclaiming the gift that you have in you. And I guess at the end of the sermon, we will invite the graduates today. Today is a special day that on this Sunday of Pentecost, we also are honoring the graduates of our community. Today is the feast of the Pentecost, is the feast of the Holy Spirit. And as I'm addressing you, you are at a very important crossroads in your lives. You are about to embrace a new chapter. My hope and my prayer is that you will find success and you will find purpose in the career path that you choose. A little emotional because I've known you since you were young children, and it makes me really feel proud to see you. You have become the young men and women that you are today. And if I were to make one wish and maybe an advice that I can share with you, I would say the following. Each one of you has the light within you. That light was given to you from the day that you were conceived. That light is the presence of God in you. Don't let that light ever become darkness. Maintain that light, because this world needs that light, and it needs it desperately.